Yes, 1 second. People are still coming too, so that's good. Yes, 1 second. Okay. So after this, Brianna, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm making you host, co-host,
Sounds good.
because I don't know if I'll see them if they come in, right? And both y'all watch the chat. All right, let's go ahead and share the presentation with you now. As usual, in the chat is a copy of the presentation. I believe Quinn's already put it there. So you can pick that up. Let me turn off this light. It's too much light. And let's see here. Okay. Okay, I hope you can see it on the screen. We're on episode 7. Sounds really dramatic to say it that way. It's our 7th meeting that we've had, but probably one of the more important ones. Let me cover this up. Originally, I said it was going to be mostly about the enrollment process, but some things have come up in the news, and I'm realizing things are getting clarified about how the whole loan financial system is changing, and something extremely important occurred. Just a quick check. Are any students here listening? Can any of you comment on whether your students are here? Do we have students here? I wonder. Any students? Sister Lisa, is your student there? Nobody? All parents? All right, that'll affect how I pitch the view graph.
It's always in the background, Deacon Wilson.
It's in the background. She may want to listen a little closer. And
Okay.
how you doing, Sister Nidra? Let's see. Anybody else who's students listening? Because I think you might want to share with them the video when it comes out. It's being recorded live now, but it'll be packing tonight. You might want to have your student listen with you when you see the content of certain parts of this video. Let's put it that way. I think that it would really go well. And it reminded me, I'll need to have a youth session, a youth only session really soon. I said that for the benefit of Quinn. We're going to need a youth only session very soon, like in the next 2 or 3 weeks, so I can hit some of these things from a student standpoint. This session kind of reminded me of it. Okay, let's go on. First of all, let's get in these, let me close this up. Let's get in these re-enrollment steps, pre-enrollment steps. I call them pre-enrollment. These are things preceding the actual signing up for classes, registration, all that. First of all, you need to finish your applications as soon as possible. I think if you go much further now, the quality of your applications won't be as good, or you'll begin to rush them for deadlines and the same result will occur. So really, we need to finish applications at this time. Anything I can do to help with that, I surely would like to. Brianna, you hearing me okay?
Yes, I can hear you just fine.
Oh, wonderful. I think I fixed my internet problems. Anyway, parents, you'll need to submit the FAFSA plus the CS profiles if necessary. See the financial aid due dates. This is my first chance to remind you after every session. Make sure you watch my videos. I'm dropping a video tomorrow just on the CSS profile, about a 3-minute video to explain the profiles to you, why they're there, what they do. I think I can do it in 3.5 minutes. So you'll want to go to my YouTube channel. Quinn, go ahead and put the YouTube channel link in there. Certainly subscribe. Would you do that? Subscribe and make sure you're getting the videos as they drop. Okay, so this is a case where I'm not going to be able to get into the profile as much as I probably should, because there's some very important things that listen closely, especially in the case of you all who are single parents, who are divorced, separated, or single, and it asks for both parents' information. In many cases, you'll have to provide that because of the CS profile process. But in a lot of cases, you don't. So I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to show you how to go and look it up and everything. You can always just call me. I can help you out. School visits. You're going to be visiting colleges, of course. More to say about that. Next slide, I believe, we're coming up soon. Students need to be checking their email regularly. That is extremely important because I'm noticing that they don't check it as much for certain schools, like CSUs and schools you don't think you'll want to go to. But you need to look at those because those could become your safety schools. And a lot of people have pivoted to safety schools and they didn't answer an email and the school will require them to apply again so they can't get in. So please, 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 please check your emails regularly. That's for students. Again, this is pre-enrollment important steps. College admissions notifications come out. Most are February 1st or after, but some are and were before, and you're probably aware of those. A lot of the CSUs have already admitted students. I think only about 2 or 3 more remain. Cost comparisons. You need to plan that step, but you must have the financial aid awards from colleges. And sometimes they've commented to students that they need certain things, and because email isn't being checked, you don't get the financial aid award in time to make the decision. There's a national decision day we'll talk about later, which is May 1st, but some schools have priority financial aid dates. If you miss something super important, you miss the priority date. But you need to have a financial aid award from the college in order to do the cost comparisons. And you really should wait for that. Hopefully the schools will come. Now, a lot of schools, I'm saying hopefully they should come out with them, but a lot of schools are late many times, and it affects your ability to know whether you should go to the school because it's an important pre-enrollment step. Then you have the question of more school visits after that. See, I have school visits like right now or before. Then you have the question of school visits, after you start getting the admissions letters. That's another. How do I figure out which schools do I visit? I won't get a lot into that today, but I will tell you the things you do when you're on a visit. And I can tell you right now, the one thing for sure is the most schools I've ever seen a student visit at this point or later in their senior year is 3 or 4 to go away out of town. Usually it's only 1 or 2 out of town. People can't afford it. And so you're going to wait for the financial aid awards. And I hope that you'll pick the ones that are more affordable to visit. College selection will then occur. That means the colleges will accept you, and now you're going to do it's college selection. And then there's a non-refundable deposit and a housing deposit. I'll have a lot more to say about that in our next meeting. Here's some scholarships I just found on my own, just kind of fooling around. Just to remind your student that it's very easy to find scholarships. It's called Google. Google works great. I left them the Sallie Mae one. It's very popular, no essay scholarship. They gave 900 of these last year. It's either 900 or 950. I'm gonna say 900. You can just Google Sallie Mae no essay scholarship. Boom, they fill out a form, and there'll be a telephone. There's some kind of video interview or something, and they can get a scholarship up to $3,000. Then there's the McDonald's scholarship, which they changed totally their format. Check them out. There it is there. These are all the links. All you have to do is just paste the link in or just Google McDonald's scholarships. If you do the Delta Sigma Theta, Inglewood or LA, please tell me you've applied. Hint, hint. Let me know if you've applied. Okay, so they'll look at yours a little closer since you're from our program. And finally, the SCE STEM degrees for STEM degree students who are Southern California customers. Unfortunately, if you're in the city of LA, you can't apply for that one. But if you're an SCE customer like in South Bay or down in anything south of the city, you'd be eligible for the scholarship. And these are not the only scholarships. Go to my website for updates and just start Googling and doing scholarships. Now, scholarships, as I told you in a video that I did recently, and I told you here last meeting, have a limited impact, actually no impact on direct costs for school, because they usually don't fund until after students start school, and they're going to not be huge scholarships. Most like 90% of them are $500 to $1,200 or $1,500. They're not going to do things, and to which you'll say, at least it's something, and you're right, it is something, but it may not help with direct costs right away. Let's put it that way. It probably won't help much at all with direct cost. Okay, let's go on. All right, how to do a college visit. Again, quit if there's any questions. Parents, if you have any questions at all, or students, please post those online on the chat. I'm sorry, put them on the chat, will you? And if those of you seeing this on YouTube Live, just put the question in the comment block. I'll peek at it at the end of the meeting. How to do a college visit. All right. Colleges are the students, the staff. They're not buildings. A lot of people feel that colleges are buildings. Well, they are buildings. I'm not crazy, but they're really all about the students and the staff. So you should not plan on attending a college without visiting it. You should not plan on attending a college without visiting. It's very, very important. Okay? Only visit and when the college is open. Don't visit a college while it's closed or on break. No drive-bys or drive or walk-throughs. This is not visiting a college campus. Instead, do the presentation that they give and do the organized tour. Plan to be at the campus for 2 hours, maybe more. Plan your travel 4 weeks before to save the most dollars. Try to stay overnight in the city. Visit the most affordable schools first that are acceptable to you. See, you're going to have affordable schools that are acceptable and ones you don't like as much. Maybe they never get visited. And by the way, that's a sneaky way that we in the business can tell if, in fact, you're going to what schools you're really looking at. I can tell by what schools you're visiting or planning to visit. Because you really don't want to go to a school you haven't seen. You just don't. Maybe I'll go through the psychology of that next meeting. Eat your meal on the campus. Like, if you're going to have lunch, even if they don't give you free lunch, a lot of them do. Eat on the campus. Mix it up with the students. Be alert for opportunities to speak to students. Visit the surrounding area of the college campus. That's a good tip too. So that's how you actually do a college visit. So start thinking about that now. If you can visit a couple of them now, then when you get to decision time, it'll be easier. If you need help from me on determining which schools you should visit, let me know. Ones in the state, you can plan those to drive to those schools or start planning those trips. I can help with how you decide where to visit. Let's talk about careers and majors. All right. Now, a career and a major, those are two different concepts, totally. Now, you should pick a major. Your major should inform your career. I mean, that's what everybody hopes that's going to happen. That's what the hope is. And for many people, that does kind of happen. Here's the way many people view their career in relationship to their major. First bullet says, major in blank, then get a career exactly like it or based on the major. That's what most people kind of view it. That's kind of how they see it. Okay. Also, when I talk to students at times, I hear a major, listen to this, upon which careers cannot be easily built. So I kind of wonder, what are you going to do with that particular degree? I will definitely have more to say about that in a moment when I cover return on investment, that I've never, ever covered for return on investment. In reality, but there's something that happened that makes me have to cover it now. In reality, usually students do not exactly work on their first job exactly related to that in which they majored, okay? Yeah, I don't see that a lot, and I'll explain why it doesn't happen in a moment. So there's a really good reason why it doesn't. Now, that doesn't say that all the disciplines you get from college don't help you on your first job. They do help you. All the experiences and everything, they help you, and I'll explain that to you in a minute. What they actually go to work doing work in varies with experience while in college. Not necessarily an internship, but it could be. See, there's a lot of different experiences, even co-curricular, even involvements on the campus and stuff that are preparing you, or research with a professor. It's not always an internship. I don't want you to think it only is going to be an internship. That's not been my experience. That is definitely a way, but it's not the only way. Often the internships kind of form the career path as much as or more than the degree. How about that? Okay. Let's take a look at this. Let's take if you're a student and you're hearing this, and parents are hearing it too, but if your student has a certain career choice in 12th grade, I was careful to change the wording to career choice, not major, but usually they're saying major, okay? That's the way students will usually talk about it. Well, you have the college life, right? Your initial career choice, right? Well, what's going to happen to that initial career choice? There's going to be market needs you're going to hear about and learn about. There's going to be professors, family and parent expectations, school clubs and activities, recent job experience. They get certain jobs on the campus, career mentors, certain classes begin to make students think about what degree they want to have. Certain classes definitely cause that, okay? All right, let's continue. Well, all of that leads to a second or third career choice. So this is where we get the idea that students change their major 2 times sometimes, up to 2 times. Most of my students, I would say the average is probably 1.5. So a lot of them change their majors. Hey, Brianna, did you hear that part?
Yes, I did.
What did you start out as? I never asked you that.
Yes, thanks so much for asking. I think I was either undeclared or art major. Definitely. I think I might have gone
Did you say,
undeclared.
wait. Did you say art?
Yes, because I love art.
Ha ha! I love it. Go ahead though.
Yeah, so I went from undeclared to art to communications to the university changing our major's name to journalism. And that was my final major when I graduated from college because I wanted to be an interior designer. But my parents kind of discouraged me from that because they said it wasn't going to be very realistic in terms of pay. But I
No,
knew
wait. In terms of what?
in terms of pay because they felt
Right.
like if you're
Yeah.
gonna do that, you should focus on business and minor in interior design. But I still use my art side in many ways. I have an Etsy business and I do things like that on the side.
Sure.
But yeah, I ended up being a journalism major at San Diego State.
Well, hey, Quinn. Quinn,
Yes.
I never asked you that before, did I?
I'm not sure.
Were you just undeclared in the beginning?
Yeah, I was.
It's kind of evolving to something enriching people or something, or you're an event planner too. You're kind of a jack of all trades. I don't know.
Yeah, I was undecided, but then I went into communications because I thought it can cover a more broader aspect of the world, I guess.
Right.
Um, yeah,
You
I
want
think that's a good
you want to
place
know
to
what my
start.
first degree was?
Oh, what?
Pre-med.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, pre-med. But I ended up being an engineer. I mean, still was STEMmy, but yeah. All right. So these second and third choices Okay, I hope we're back. Did everybody stay on, Brianna? Brianna, did it kick you off?
No, no, no. I was on. So yeah, it sounds like
Right.
everyone can hear you
Yeah, you were
now.
the host, so everything stayed good.
Yes.
That was just me then. That was a me. Let's see here. Let me just give me a second to reset my screen here. I think I'm okay, and then check the how we're doing with the live stream. Stand by. Okay. I'm going to assume if it didn't work out in the live stream, I'm just going to, hey, Quinn, could you check the live stream? If not, I'll just record it again tomorrow. All right,
Okay.
let's continue where we were though. But could you check that out for me? I see a lot of new faces here today. I'll talk about that later. I really appreciate you coming. Sorry for the technical difficulty. Let me go on and get right back to it. It's just stopped right where I was. All right. Yeah, that's where we were right here. Let's go ahead and get that going here. Hold on, let me have my
The live
control.
stream is continuing, by the way.
All right, just have a break and they'll probably edit it when it comes together. Okay. All right, so we'll have a video on this for you if you want to see it later. Picking a major is a strategic, deliberate career and life decision, not in any way an academic decision. So it's not really totally academic. I should have said totally. I mean, it's academic to an extent, but it's strategic, it's deliberate. So sometimes the major has to change. One clue there's a little clue for you, parents and students. One clue that you're not making a career decision is when you're thinking about the city, the type of school, and the school so much that you'll change your major depending on what school you go to. That's a clue that you haven't really made a career decision. And that's something you should be aware of. And it's likely it'll change because it's willing to change depending on what school you go to. Okay. This is why you don't want to pick a school totally because it hasn't the offering the degree that you want. It's questions, do you have a career path? Boy, more on that right now. Here's some BA degrees. I purposely picked Bachelor of Arts degrees that seem to work best for recent students. Communications, BA in psychology, by the way. The BS in psychology, we'll talk about later. I hope I remember to bring it up when the slides in front of me that's important for it. Sociology, business administration, marketing. These are BA degrees, okay? I have a parent that just showed up here. Can you let him in? Brianna, did you see that parent?
Yes. Give me one moment.
Can you let him in? All right, okay. Nearly all colleges have these degrees and do them well. See, you know, I'd say, well, is that a good degree at that school? Nearly all colleges have those degrees and do them well. Okay, it's kind of a hard degree to mess up, you know what I mean? And we're talking about a career anyway that you want to have. Alternate skills and experience. Here's what you're going to learn while you're in school, hopefully. Oh no, here's alternate skills you can have to the actual work you're going to do, like a parallel thing. Nonprofit office work. How about volunteering for nonprofit offices? Certifications in computer and media tech to go along with those degrees. See, think of what goes with it. I mean, like you're getting a hot dog. What do you like on the hot dog? Hamburger. What do you like on it? What can go with it is something you need to think of the alternate skills and experience. Here's some of the skills you will acquire in the classroom and projects: written communication skills, teamwork, working in a group, oral communication, web development. But they don't teach you the internet, and I should add AI. If you don't learn AI, how to use AI to problem solve, which we're going to have a class on this summer, or web development, you should do those on your own. You should find somewhere to learn those on your own, or find in the school where you can elect those classes. These are these are meaningful job skills to bolster that BA degree and make you your resume more attractive to make more money when you come out of school. Boy, I have more to say about that in a minute. And then social media marketing is another thing. You should really know how to use social media. You might say, well, everybody does. Well, some people don't. Some students don't. You should learn how to use it to make money. And you can get classes on that if you elect them in your school or go to two-year colleges that offer the classes. So we're talking about how to bolster a BA degree. And you'll see how this all relates. Okay, here's a major to career job map example from our program the last 3 years. I just updated this. BA in community, these are all BA degrees, right? Communications, biology. Maya, come down from there. Maya, stop it. Sorry, she's acting crazy, Quinn. BA in business administration, BA in chemistry, BA in sociology. Not social work. I have something else to say about that later. A BA in business marketing, a BA in psychology. Okay, let's see what these translated to in terms of first careers or jobs of students. BA psychology, BAs in sociology, drug counseling, marriage and family counseling. Well, it's not exactly the counseling, but working in those offices, right? City and county recreation. Oh yeah, they hire a lot of those. College admissions and admission and administrative staff for colleges. That's a place a lot of students go that first year out of my program, out of our program we've seen. BA in psychology, BA in marketing, and the BA in communications. Let me move this out of the way, it's in the way. Nonprofit office, okay. Nonprofit office administration, social media director, public relations. These are all entry-level positions though, not a manager. An assistant to a communications director in a small company. A lot of times in companies, there'll be 3 or 4 assistants to communicate. That's what my assistants do. They assist me with communicating to the world, basically. Assistant marketing director. Then we have human resources, et cetera. You getting the idea here? How about a BA in biology or chemistry? Well, I have people that are teaching, researching, health science, pharmacists, assistant pharmacists anyway, nursing school. They can go on to nursing school or medical school, yes, with a BA degree. That could happen. Okay? This extra training they will need. This is just to give you an idea of what careers look like next to those majors. I mean, it's not a communication job or a business administration job. Now, the problem is some of these BA degrees, some of these jobs make more money than others. I think Brianna alluded to that a minute ago. That's the point. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Here's the top STEM-based careers. I'm just going to list them. You know the deal. Physics, pre-med, chemistry, blah, blah. Computer science, finance, engineering. That's a big one, right? Pre-med, psychological counseling. That's your BS in psychology, right? Nursing and other health sciences. These are STEM-based careers, okay? But there's others too. I just wanted to give you an idea what that looks like. I can't believe I didn't put biotech up here or things like that. Here's a relevant, is any questions in the chat there? Anybody? You see anything there?
No.
Not
Oh,
yet.
all right, okay. Here's a relevant biblical truth. Luke 14:28-30. Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? For if you, listen to this, for if you lay the foundation and you're not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule you, saying, this person began to build and was not able to finish. So that's a lot of what I'm bringing up. We have to plan to succeed. So students, you have to plan for that first job, plan to succeed when you come out of school. You have to think about these things now. Okay, let's go on. What will we owe for college? Well, it's very easy. If you have your financial aid award, all you need to know is the direct cost of the school, and then get that from the college website. And I want my parents to be experts in figuring this out. The tuition plus and students too, actually, the tuition plus the room and board, you get it from the college website, minus the relevant financial aid. So you don't include work study, don't include parent loans, and you'll know what your relevant financial aid is. And when you subtract it from the direct costs, you get the amount you actually owe for the college, or called for this presentation, GAP cost, GAP cost. And let's look at an example of how to look at the financial aid award. This is ABC University. I know it says 25-26. Didn't update it, but you'll see some updated numbers in a minute. Here's a person, look at the total financial, oh, I wish I could write it. I didn't plug my board up. Maybe I can still get away. No, I can't. I can't get away with it. Sorry about that. But if you could look at the total for the financial aid award, which is at the top of the page, it's over here. I'm gonna move my arrow over here anyway. I can't do much else. It's $87,100, the award. Then you go down to the bottom over here and you see the school costs, $87,100. So some people will say, oh, they got a free ride. No, look at the red. You have a parent loan, actually.
So we have a question in the chat.
Yeah, let's take it down.
It says, how long does it take to know the aid that you'll receive?
Varies from school to school. Let me tell you what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to have it available within a day of the acceptance to the university. Let me tell you the schools that are good at it. UC is excellent at it. They literally have the award ready the day after you accept it. Most CSUs are good at it. There's some that are notoriously late. Private schools, most are ready within a week. If you were early action, they're certainly not going to have yours ready until April or March. Okay, you can just remember I told you early action was just to find out if you got in, right? They weren't guaranteeing you a financial aid award. They probably told you about any scholarships you got. That's all they're going to do in the early action, right? So private schools, they tend to have them ready in March, right? Are they late sometimes and it wasn't your fault? Yes. There's some private schools that are notorious for being late. I don't want to be controversial today. If you press me, I'll tell you. If you ask me a specific question. But that really is the answer on when to expect the financial aid award. And it's a great question. Who was that asked that? That was a good question.
Nedra.
Nedra.
Oh, Nedra.
Oh, yeah, right. Great question.
Sorry, go ahead.
Hooks, great question.
Mhm.
Any other follow-up there, Sister Hooks?
No, you answered. Thank you.
Good stuff. Okay. Here's some definitions, 1 out of 3 on college loans. Now, I usually don't tell people when things have changed, but God told me to say I better say it because you may have other kids that have gone or some recollection of the way it was for you. There was an overhaul in how college loans are awarded. Not an amount. Remember, I told you the financial aid amounts were not changed by the administration. There is a difference in how you accumulate your financial aid. It might actually be a little more favorable. I hadn't thought of saying it that way, but I'll do it anyway. So any problems you see with taking out loans, that you need loans, are problems we've had have been growing over the last 10 years. I'm probably going to do a separate video on why does college cost so much. I did it like 4 years ago, and it's an old video, and it even sounds bad. This is before I had a good microphone, so I better redo it or remaster it or something. But I'm going to do a video on why private college costs so much. But it's been a problem the last, I would say, since 2015. It really got out of control. It was a little out of control before, but really out of control since 2015 when the government intervened and to help you. Whenever they intervene in college financial aid, the cost of college has gone up. I bet that doesn't surprise you. First, we have the federal direct student loan. You can read about it there, but I'll tell you about it. The key points are it's a federal loan. It's an entitlement program. There's no credit check. And it's for a set amount. If you look at the last paragraph in red, it's a set amount based on the year you are in school. The college will award that to you automatically as a student. Your student will be awarded it right away. A cosigner is not required. It's an entitlement program. It's going to be $5,500 the first year. And I don't want to get down too much in the weeds and define the types of loans, but they'll be awarded $5,500 for the first year, to which you might say, I'm not going to take it. Well, if you don't take the loan, you'll have to pay in cash. And I think it's fair for students to pay something for college. $6,500, and they seem to appreciate it more than $6,500 for the second year, $7,500 for the third to fifth year. That's on the bottom of this slide here. So that's what a federal direct student loan is. Okay? Everybody's going to be offered that. And by the way, that's how some of these sham artists will tell you they can guarantee you $5,500 in financial aid. They're lying. The $5,500 is going to be a loan and everybody gets it. Okay, get any questions, please put it in the chat. College loan definition, part 2 of 3. Now, you have a new thing this year. This is new, but it's not new to people like me who've done this 30 years. We used to have this before 2015. That administration got rid of alternate student loans. and they made only parent loans and the direct loan. But guess what? The alternate student loan is back. And then wait till you see why. We'll get to that in a minute. This is not a federal loan. This is not a federal loan. However, the first few providers that have come out with funding that award are offering lower rates than the government loan, which makes me know how much waste there is in government, but we won't get to that. These loans also have negotiable interest rates and deferments. Okay, Malachi's here. Malachi's here. I'll tell Sister Sonia that. These loans also have negotiable interest rates, deferments are also negotiable, and repayment provisions. They're all negotiable. You can order it the way you want it, right? The term seems to be fixed at 10 years. You can get it for lower than 10, but it seems to be that's the highest. The cosigner is required each year. There's a cosigner required. There is therefore a credit check. And also, depending on the credit of the cosigner, there may be additional negotiation needed, or a better or worse award will be offered. And this is, well, so the big question you're going to have, I bet you, is do you need this loan? I'm getting to it. The amount, if approved, it's approved for up to the maximum is up to the remaining total school costs, just like the parent loan used to be. So this implies there's going to be a cap on parent loans. We'll get to that in a minute. It pays for tuition, room and board, all of the costs, books, personal expenses, etc. It could pay for all of that. Okay? So that's the alternate loan, and it's a student loan, but the parents are co-signers or co-borrowers. Okay? The government term is co-borrower. The private definition is a co-signer. But when you co-sign, that's really what's happening. It goes in your record. Okay. Well, that would have happened with the parent loan anyway, but let's see what this means. Okay, how about the federal direct parent loan for undergraduate students, or called a PLUS loan? Okay, the PLUS is the Lawson's back. The PLUS is an educational loans made directly by the Department of Education of the U.S. federal government. It's to parents. Listen to this. For a maximum of $20,000 per year for years 1 through 4, but only up to $65,000 for the first 4 years of college. So you'd have a maximum of $20,000 in the first 3 years, and then $5,000 more in the 4th year. And that is it. That's the most loan a parent can legally take out in federal loans. Okay, I suppose you could do a personal loan and pay for your students' education. But I think you'll find out that the interest rate is lower if the student takes it. I'm pretty sure. I was kind of surprised at how low the interest rates are on the alternate, but I still know it's high. I mean, right now interest rates are high, period. And I mean, those are at 8%, and I'm 6 to 8%, depending on how you negotiate. I saw some as low as 2%, but I bet you there's something about the terms or something that you have to negotiate. I don't know the details. I didn't get that deep into it. Perhaps I will get deeper into it as we go along, but just to give you an idea.
We have another question in the chat.
Sure.
The question is the student mandated to take the student fed loan each year?
Well, let's take it in two parts. No loans are mandated. You can pay for it in cash. So that's the honest, easy answer. You don't have to take any of these loans. You can pay for school in cash. But you have to determine if you've saved up enough money, that is definitely an option for you. But if you did not save up enough, or you pick a school where that money will run out, you'll have to have a strategy. I think that's the right answer. You don't have to do any of these. Realistically, 98% of students are taking out a direct loan because parents want to save that $5,500. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you have saved up enough. I know of a case where that's true this year. Usually it's 1 or 2 parents that have saved up enough money for college, for even a high amount. I mean, don't forget, we're just throwing the word college around, but are we talking CSU? Are we talking NYU or USC? Those are $100,000 schools. Have you saved up $400,000? So realistically, some or one of these loan products you're going to be using. Did I over answer it? I probably did. Okay. I'll follow up with another question if you need to, whoever that parent is, okay? All right.
There is another question. Does
Yes.
interest start right away or after graduation?
So another one of these freedom of choice things. I think you should pay interest while the loans when they start. You'll see why, and I'll explain why in a minute, okay? But you could defer all of the all of your loan, all your interest. You could defer your loans, and when you defer them, if it's a parent loan, well, parent loans can be deferred, so that interest does accrue while your student's in college. On the federal direct student, this is really a great question. On the federal direct student loan, sure, you can defer that, and it's a tiny interest rate, very tiny. Like I'm going to say it's 0.4% interest. So I might as well say zero, huh? Let's see. On the alternate loan product, sure. Remember, that's negotiable. You can defer it, but it's negotiable. Obviously, if you don't defer it, you get a lower interest rate. I hope that helped. That's a great question. Now, I don't cover that in this meeting. I thought I'd wait till later to talk about strategy for loan repayments. I do talk a little about repayment, but it may not be in the way you expect. Any other questions? It's a very big topic. It's a big area of change. I'll come back to this if I have to, and I'll be talking about what this means next, okay? So obviously you'll have plenty of time to ask me additional questions. Let me make sure my time is good. Yeah, I'm good. Good for time. So the return to private additional or alternate loans for students is huge. That's a huge change. I don't know how to stress that enough. College people are telling me privately they're nervous about it. Extremely nervous. They should be telling you about this now. Only a few private schools are, though. On their websites, they're telling you. It's necessarily, listen to this, it necessarily makes students learn how loans work. Well, what a good thing to learn in general. And to learn about, quote, return on investment, ROI, when picking a college. All right, here we go. So I got to show students how to do that, where we parents may have known, or it's a good thing for parents to review too, because you're going to have a parent loan after all. Here's an example of gap college costs. Can I use that term, gap? It's what you owe after the relevant financial aid, what you owe for college, okay? Let's take USC as our example here. I could have picked other private schools that are similar in cost, like all of a sudden LMU is similar in cost. Imagine that. I am sure, by the way, among a certain group of about 40 selective private colleges, I am very, very sure that there's collusion among these colleges. I am pretty sure of it, it sure looks like it.
We have another question.
Yeah, let's take it.
Any comments on schools that have recently received large donations like CSU Northridge receives millions of dollars? Any thoughts on if this could impact students or if generally the money goes to the school?
Ooh, it depends on whether it's a state school or private and how the campus financial managers, what their goals are short and long term. You know, if you walk up, let's say you're going to give $1 million to Northridge. The first thing they're going to do when you give them $1 million out of nowhere is they're going to come to you and say, how would you like us to spend this money? Unless you say, most people, it will shock you to hear this, will say any way you want to spend it. People say that a lot, y'all. Then the school has leeway. But usually, people say, I want to go to scholarships. In that case, they will make it go to scholarships. Now, private schools have a whole way of managing money differently. They want to say to you, don't you want your 1 million to become 2 million in 3 years and help more students? We would give us the authority to invest it. So a lot of these schools like USC, NYU, Loyola Marymount, they'll invest that money, and that's called an endowment. You may have heard of endowments. right? Um, and sometimes endowments are targeted to a certain thing, sometimes they're not. Boy, that's a great question. I don't want you to make the assumption, though, that because a school gets a big donation or they have a large endowment, they're going to get that money up. That is not true. I mean, Harvard has a $57 billion endowment. Um, this just in, they don't give a lot of money out. Columbia, same way. In fact, a lot of us are wondering, they had all that money in their endowment, which is $12 billion. How come there weren't cameras in that building? And I think if you're following the news, you know what I'm talking about, right? Um, but you asked for my opinion, so you got that. So I think that that's a problem and needs reform. And there are people in this administration and the last, but more in this, that are really looking at these private colleges very closely on issues like that. How are they using their endowments, and whether they're being fair if they're financially, or is it a Title IV violation that they don't give more aid? But in general, because the school has been given more money, it doesn't mean that it's going to be more scholarships. Now, if there's money given for a specific purpose, like I see, like the Herb Alpert Award, his estate gave $10 million to LA City College. It did immediately improve their music programs, immediately. George Lucas gave a bunch of money to Cal State Monterey Bay. Yes, it led to a better department and more equipment. But did it lead to more scholarships? I don't know. I don't know about that. That's true. I don't know if that led to more universities. All right. Did I over answer it? Whoever asked, did I answer the question? Let Quinn know or follow up.
Says, right, I agree with you. And then one more follow-up regarding HBCUs, your thoughts
Yes.
on a school that may be under investigation for financially impropriety.
Proprieties.
Thank you. Was looking at school in Texas and now they're now investigating.
There are three of those that I know of. Uh, I- comes up often with HBCUs. That's Howard had a real bad one a few years ago. No, I don't know if you know about it, where I think they shut down the administrative offices for 2 days, the Department of Education, and that was under the last administration. So, it wasn't Trump or something. I mean, it's common to see these things. I don't see it as much in majority schools, but I've heard of it.
She
Uh,
said this one is TSU.
TSU, I'm aware of it. And TSU has lost their accreditation before for that. And I'm sure this is a serious concern. I would, if it was me, if a school's having financial aid fraud issues, I might take a second look at that school. Let's just put it that way. I think that's what you're really going to ask me. Make sure you visit TSU too. Look at the campus. Actually visit it. I got some really loyal and faithful alums here in Los Angeles that are very great people, great friends of mine. And, the school had actually turned the corner because they got their accreditation back 4 years ago, 5 years ago now, the beginning of the pandemic. And so I'm fumbling around with the question because this is a common thing, and usually schools come out of it okay. They usually have to pay a fine to the federal government, etc. Occasionally, people are arrested. Occasionally, but usually there's no charges on that person because the way they did it. The people who stole the millions from Howard, none of them got sent to jail. So anyway, again, another question I probably fumbled around with, didn't answer. Anything else? Okay, those are almost done. That's good. These are good questions. All right, let me continue. We'll see how it goes from here. Okay, so let's take the direct costs as the pink bar right here for USC. Well, tuition and fees are $77,000. Room and board is $20,000. So we're talking about $97,000, right? The total cost is $97,000, like I said. How is it built? How are you going to pay it? Federal direct student loan, merit scholarships. In my example, I put $35,000. That's the highest, or second highest merit award at USC. The highest is 45. In case you're wondering, why is there such a large gap between the largest merit award and the total cost? That's what's happened over the last 10 years. Used to be the merit scholarship cover tuition at least. It doesn't even cover the tuition here. Have you noticed that? And let's say this is a family that makes, I should have told you, $100,000, $90,000, $80,000. Okay. Now they're making 60,000 or less. USC in the past has given them an additional university grant. Okay, which will make it a little easier. But generally, it's still going to be about 20,000 a year to go to USC, unless you're really getting a Pell Grant and you're under 50,000. But usually, the things that it takes, let's just put it this way, that's not usually the case. Maximum parent loan, 20,000. Remember, I told you that's the most parent loan you can get. So we got a problem. We have a gap, don't we? Now could be filled by a student alternative loan. Now, do you have to do that? No, but how else are you going to fill in $36,500? You got to come up with that money each year. So that's where the student alternative private loan will come up, I think. And this is why I have to get students involved in seeing this, right? As you'll see I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let's continue. Gap college cost number 2, UC direct costs. Let's take UC. Tuition fees, 21,000. I think I took UC San Diego, you guys. Shout out to San Diego there, Brianna. Anyway.
I see.
Sorry to UC, but what can I say? Okay. All right. Okay. Room and board, 20,000. 20,000 is about what room and board is now. You know, when I was doing this 10 years ago, room and board was barely 10. Now it's 20. Okay. So that's how the UC is going to be about $41,000. That's gone up before my eyes too, by the way. So here's typically what happens to that $90,000 family. Federal direct student loan, grants and scholarships. I put it conservatively at 5. I've seen people get $12,000, occasionally in blue and gold. It kind of depends on the campus. So I put it at 5. You're going to have a maximum parent loan of $20,000. But look at this situation. Not so bad, $10,500 per year. And we're going to show you that these next few graphs after number 3 are historically important. I've never done it this way, and I think will really help students in knowing what the effect of their major is versus their ability to pay for be on their own after they graduate college. So that's what it's all about. Is there a question?
Yes.
Yes.
Is the Federal Plus loan limit 20,000 each year per parent or per student? If you have more than one student in college, is it still 20,000?
Okay, so it's $20,000. Who asked that?
Regina.
I knew it. Ha ha ha. Well, first of all, I need to say to you, Regina, all of this just starts with students starting in 26, 27. You can still continue with the other one as much as you want a parent loan on the one already in the school. I hope that helped right there.
So they're kind of grandfathered out of that.
Yeah, they're grandfathered out.
Okay, thank you.
But let's talk about my man, AJ. That's my boy.
Yes.
Anyway. Yes, it's $20,000 plus for him. But you remember what I said earlier? It's only for 3 years, and then you get $5,000 the 4th year. And that's the end of parent loans. So theoretically, his gap cost will increase that last year.
Okay.
But there are things he might be doing. And that's another meeting, right? That's why I need that youth meeting. Quinn, please remind me. That's another meeting where I need to talk to students about how they can shrink their loan profile each year. That's a separate meeting we need to have, right?
We have a youth only meeting coming up. Did you want one in addition to that one?
No, I did not. I
That's-
don't remember
okay.
stuff. When
Okay.
is it? When is it?
February 15th.
Aha, that's right. It's right around Valentine's Day. Where do you find out why, parents? Hint, hint. We're going to talk about relationships too. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we got to do it. Sorry, I overanswered your question. Regina, does that answer your question?
Yes,
Okay.
perfectly. Thank you.
I actually overanswered it, probably, whatever. College costs. Let's take CSU and Boise State. So a lot of people.
Sorry, Deacon Wilson, before we leave that
Oh,
that
sure.
plus loan limit question. So I guess I missed it. So it's $20K per year per student?
Yes. Well, whoa. I was going to make the mistake, Virginia, right? Students that are already in school are grandfathered in. They can
Right. I got
much you want.
that caveat. I'm talking about starting this year, and then if you have another kid maybe that's behind your senior,
Yes.
it's
20,000 per student per year,
okay.
but it's
Okay.
only for 3 years.
For 3 years, right?
The
Then that
fourth year is
fourth
only 5,000.
Right. Got it. I caught that too. Yes. Thank you.
Well, these questions are great. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's talk about CSU and Boise State, which turns out now are about the same, right? So tuition fees 8,900, room and board 19,000. So it's going to cost about $27,900. Actually, Boise State is more, but there's a scholarship you get if you're on our program that makes these the same example. So 27,900. You may be interested. The CSU that I picked I picked San Diego State. I picked the one that would cost the most, but there's some that are way lower, but let's just go with this. Federal direct student loan, grants and scholarships, parent loan. Oh, my Lord, gap costs none. Wow. How about that? Well, I have a lot to say about CSU and UC in just a moment, obviously, right? Number 4, Howard University. I picked them as my typical HBCU, okay? Then my most popular HBCU, I think I have 15 people applying at Howard University. Tuition and fees, $37,000. Room and board, $20,000. So it's a $57,000 school. I picked merit awards at $15,000, which is their second highest merit award. The highest is $25,000. Maximum parent federal loan. But the only thing about Howard is if your income's below $50,000, they do university grants. Okay, unlike other Black schools. And the student alternative loan in that case, $12,500. $12,500 is your expected gap cost if the parent takes the maximum parent loan. Don't forget that fourth year will go up $5,000. But there are things the student could have done to make their gap cost smaller anyway. Okay. Well, what is the relationship between these gap costs, right? Remember, I always showed the gap costs in each example, you remember? I should have done a chart where I summarized the gap costs, but I always showed the gap costs, right? Well, I'm going to use those gap costs here. Okay. So what I've done is I put down a typical budget of recent grads who went and they went to a USC, or a selective private college, right? And there's a typical budget if they're on their own, with a roommate and without a roommate. Okay, oops, I'm tripping, okay? And look down at the alternate loan payment in pink. You won't believe this, but for the amount of money they're taking out, remember that was the one with the highest one. They had a high gap for the student to pay. $1,598 per month is what the payment is. Let that sink in. Now remember the loan they took out, right? The loan the students took out, if you remember, it could be has to be co-signed by the parent. That's the monthly payment on that loan. So with a roommate, $4,800 a month you need. Without a roommate, that. And I figured out and went backwards, said what gross salary is needed. $73,000 if you have a roommate, $79,000 if you're without a roommate you need on that first job. To which somebody might say, I'll just stay at home. Okay, well, you can stay at home. That's fine. But remember, staying at home is not always possible for students. It's not always something that's possible. It's a lot of issues of temperament and freedom, and do they follow the curfews? Do they not? And you got siblings there too. It's I think the best thing to assume is you want to get out. Now look over to the second column to the right. Here we go. If you have a communications degree, I put the starting salaries in the middle from the government published and commercial sites that follow how much you expected to make in California, you'll be $13,000 short. And that's why a lot of students have to work the second job, right? Because they're short, 13 and 19,000. Okay. And if they make less, hopefully they've gotten a break on their rent. That happens a lot. Where the rent could be lower than 2,200. I've seen that. They get blessed. Then they can get by for less. So they spend less than what's shown in the budget. But these are numbers that are based on the averages, right? Let's take a biology degree, which a lot of students will do. They'll get a biology degree thinking that they'll go to medical school or dental school or whatever they'll do. But what kind of jobs can you get with a biology degree? 45,000, to which you'll say to stay at home while they go to medical school. They might say that. But you remember, that's introducing more loans and more debt. It's like 28,000 or 34,000 for that one. And you can look at the blank studies. Blank studies means you fill in the blank, right? Just fill the blank in. What kind of job can you expect to get? 35,000. Look at engineering, though. You get engineering, you're in the black. So I have a conclusion that I'm going to say the conclusion now. You should not go to a selective private college in most cases if you're getting a BA degree. You should need to get it another way. This is something I've been not wanting to say for years, but I feel really compelled to say it now. I feel very compelled to say it now. It may be just get a second job, or you do second things you do that are in your passion. I think Brianna said she's doing some stuff, Etsy and some other stuff. Wow, you're like a what's that? What's the word for that when you can do a lot of different things? You're a Renaissance person.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's a big compliment.
But I suspected that about you.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You do a lot of little things, well, whatever. Quinn too, as a matter of fact. I'm just thinking about that over here. You know, I don't know.
Yes, she does.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, that's how this one works out with with the selective private colleges. Let's look at CSU. Well, CSU or Boise State. Well, there was no alternate loan repayment. Hello. So now that student needs 51,000, 59,000, and they still, if they pick the right degree, they can make it, right? It's very possible to make it. Business administration, communications, things like that. And they don't go right away for their master's. They can make it. They actually can make it. So a little cross-training and something else, but the key was there's no alternate loan repayment. So the return on investment is far better in that situation, or far easier to deal with, right? Now, am I saying you should never go to a big time? Well, what you're going to need is, what I don't show here is, what about students that have super high grades and get larger merit awards? In some cases, it will be large enough. But in other cases, remember my example showed the second level of merit award, right? But what if a school just has high merit awards? Like I know, for example, George Washington University, shout out to GW. I am an alum of GW. I need to give that disclaimer. Shout out to George. George Mason does this too. George Washington University has a $62,000 merit award. They give away 20 every year. And I've had students get that highest merit award. That's a huge percentage of the cost of the school, right? But there's not that many examples. I mean, I'm also not including other supposedly selective private colleges that cost way less. It just costs less, like a lot of Christian schools. I have more to say about that later. So this example here is Cal State Boise. Now let's look at one that's $466 a month, alternate loan. Still a little difficult, right? But not quite as bad. Look at the communication degree. Not quite as bad, right? A little bit of help, do something else on the side, maybe do some kind of a private work for people or something. It's not uncommon to make it and still make your loan payments, right? Notice I have the direct student loan payment as part of the budget too. You still have to make your direct student loan payments to the government. This is just the alternate loan. So it looks like if it's UC, there's a chance you can turn the corner. But you got to be careful of the degree, right? Blank studies, biology, not so good, right? Any questions in there on this? Okay. And here's your private HBCU, which was the Howard one. I should have said it was Howard. It's $555 alternate loan repayment, right? And so if you look over there to the right, not so bad. I mean, you could, if you have high grades, remember I had a nice merit award there. But of course, if you don't have a merit award, it's going to be harder, right? Your alternate loan is going to be higher if your grades are not 3.7, 3.6 and above with Howard. I say 3.7 and above for Howard. 3.8 to be safe. 3.9, man, they might pay you to come there. Excuse me, not quite true, but you know what I mean. Okay. How do long-term loans work? How do they work? Let's take a loan of $61,000 that's taken out as a 10-year loan, right? And the loan is at 6% interest. Well, look what happens in the first year of the loan. In the first year of the loan, follow that arrow there, maybe you can see it. The interest was $5,000, the principal is $44,000. Oh, look, it's lower. So the first year, most of your payment goes to interest. Second year, you begin to cross over. Now, here's what happens to a lot of people. To a lot of students, they can't make the payments, so they go to the government and get under a repayment plan. Once you go to a repayment plan, everything I'm going to tell you in a minute doesn't happen, but I'm going to go over it anyway. So as you see, you begin to reduce the balance. And that's this green line over here. It's going down, right? As your years increase, your balance goes down, right? Your principal is the orange line at the beginning of the loan. The interest is higher, then they cross over the second year. And you can see that the gap between the orange and the lower line, which is blue, widens and widens and widens till the 10th year the loan is repaid. Of course, if you pay off earlier, it looks a lot different. That's how long-term loans work, if you make your payments on time. Now, if you get into trouble and you go to the government and get a repayment plan, which we now do have a new repayment system, the problem is if you make it income dependent, get this, and your payments, you see this $4,600 here? If you divide it by 12, you get an idea, it's about $4,000 in interest. I'm sorry, about $400 in interest per month. But what if your payments that you agree to pay are $100 a month? Sure, that'll go against your principal, but your interest is way higher. So this curve begins to go up the other way. So that's where you hear these TikToks that I'm doing a video on a bunch of TikToks from students who had to go into repayment. And now they're shocked that their $60,000 loan, they now owe $100,000 on the loan. So it's a scary business. And that's why the return on investment discussion is an important discussion to have. I don't mean to scare you all, but it's super important now that the government has gone back to alternate loans. Now you say, well, Deacon Wilson, what was happening years before? Years before, the parents were eating it, right? But there's no parent federal loan vehicle for you to use because it's capped at $20,000. I think that the policy has been changed to make us have these discussions with our students. And if we're going to agree as a family to help the student, that's fine. That's fine too. You have to anyway because you've co-signed. You probably want to you'll be interested in them making the payments. Now, you can negotiate that too, by the way. You can negotiate so that after a period of time, it becomes their loan. All of that is negotiable in the front end of the loan. But the point is, this is the way loans are supposed to work over time if you make the payments. Now, the feds will allow you to miss payments. There's plans like that, and it still continues to get better. But when you start changing the amount of the monthly payment to a lower amount, that makes things a little more difficult. Okay? Any questions in there? All right.
No.
Now, here's the actual loan tables. Now, I've labeled the maximum parent loan at 65 parents. So your maximum monthly payment for 10 years at 8% interest, which is where it is now, Although it may go down, if ironically, if a certain president gets his way, it's going to go down to 4% because he's pressuring the Fed right now. I don't know if you're following that. When he gets people in that Fed he wants. Remember, I'm totally non-political in this stuff. I just want what's best for my parents. I'm rooting for the Fed chair to be removed or quit and get another one in there. And everybody believes the interest rates will be lowered and it could go down to 4%. But these charts may get better. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Because every year the interest rate is reset. But it looks like you're going to owe about $780 a month on your $20,000 loan unless you accelerate the payments. You're going to pay back $94,000 unless you accelerate the payments. Again, you can get payment plans on this, but if you go to payment plans, you'll end up paying more interest over the time. Okay. And yes, it is 8%. You're not seeing a typo there. I believe it'll go down though. I really believe that Congress won't set that rate until May, unless the government shut down or something. They'll set it in May. All right, here's some recommendations for the highest return on investment. These are really observations. High return on investment, listen to this, will allow college grads to leave home and not stay with their family if you have a high return on your investment. STEM degrees have the greatest return on investment, but are very rigorous. Name schools usually have lower return on investment. Private colleges have very low return on investment, especially with liberal arts majors. It's private colleges, sociology, social work, biology, history, blank studies, some. The reason why I say it is, if you get a communication degree, you must make your option media these days. It's got to be media, right? You got to get some AI with it too. I think you're going to have to do that. This is important. Here are the highest return on investment college types. Now, before I even I'll just give the list, then I'll comment. Traditionally, Black states colleges are much higher return on investment. Norfolk State, Virginia State, Morgan State, these are much better investments. Okay, if you're going to go into debt. CSU and UCs are a great return on investment. Public universities in your home state, for those of you seeing this for other states, people see me all across, the public university in your state are going to be a much better investment. Talk about return on your investment, being able to get free after a certain time. Some Western public universities, like Boise State, like Eastern Oregon State, like Colorado State Pueblo, University of Colorado. These are great ROI schools. The worst ones, Arizona State, UNLV, Oregon State, Washington, the ones you want, the one all the students want are the lowest return on investment. In Nevada, it's kind of funny. Nevada, Reno, great return on investment. UNLV, terrible. Because the way they, excuse me, because the way they do financial aid, right? It's the way they do it. This is a very important page here that I would encourage students to read this carefully. It's very important. And for parents and students to have conversations. So I think that's why they changed it. They want discussions to occur, conversations to occur. Okay, believe it or not, I somehow covered all I wanted to cover today. Are there any additional questions that folks might have right now?
I have a question. It's not on the financial aid.
Sure.
So I guess students